just the defense prowess, or even when it comes to the cultural richness of India that is now being showcased of Bharat in a very, very proud moment there. As far as if we talk about the jhankiyan or the tableaus, one of the most talking points would have been, of course, when it comes to the tableau of Uttar Pradesh. With the recently concluded Pran Pratishtha, you can see Bhagwan Sri Ram majestically atop that jhanki, that tableau, as the tableau of Uttar Pradesh passed by on Kartavya Path, a very proud moment there. Of course, when it comes to the global achievements that have been highlighted in this year's Republic Day parade, and this is a very telling picture that is now coming across. We have Major General Sanjay Meston also with us here in the studios. Jai Hind, good afternoon to you, sir. Very colorful pictures that have been coming in. Of course, we talk about there have been many firsts in this year's Republic Day parade, sir. But the talking point would be Sri Ram atop that tableau of Uttar Pradesh.
Very true. There have been many firsts, including so many women taking part, totally women-led contingents, and totally compromised of having the women. But coming on to the Ram tableau from Uttar Pradesh, see, it was expected. And I think the way future is, probably this area, and especially the areas of Prayagraj, Ayodhya, and also Varanasi, they are going to be the spiritual triangle. And I think the entire focus of all Indians and Indians abroad, and even foreigners, they would like to come to this spiritual triangle. So obviously, Uttar Pradesh, the focus of tourists will be there in the spiritual triangle. Not only that, it will give a great economy uplift to these three areas, and especially to Ayodhya. So it was on expected lines, and I think that has been a real hallmark of this time, besides the tableau and the military power.
Certainly, General Sanjay, you talk of the spiritual focus, especially when we talk about Uttar Pradesh. But when we talk about the military prowess, then also Uttar Pradesh is quite prime, and especially when we talk of the defense corridors. We have with us Maruf Raza. He's here, the consulting editor. Sir, if I bring you in this discussion and we see these beautiful pictures, the majestic military might of India, and also Uttar Pradesh as we are talking about, what next? Like Uttar Pradesh is developing a hub of military production, be it BrahMos, be it AK-203 and so much more. How do you see Uttar Pradesh defense corridor coming up and adding to the teeth of our army?
Well, you know, Uttar Pradesh seemed to have, in a way, stolen the march over other states because of Chief Minister Yogi having ensured that in his very efficient manner, everything has gone clockwork, particularly now with the inauguration of the Ram Janmabhoomi temple. But Uttar Pradesh is also become an industrial hub. It's also got one of the defense corridors which was set up there at the time of Rajnath Singh ji. And Uttar Pradesh is a state which is drawing massive interest from investors. So Uttar Pradesh is certainly one of the states to look out for, just as Gujarat was in the past. As also, as the general brought out, that, you know, Ayodhya, Prayagraj, Allahabad, Varanasi, these will be the areas which have massive political support from the Prime Minister downwards. And this will encourage religious tourism there. But it will have to be seen how it is done without causing friction, because Uttar Pradesh has a large population of other minorities. And therefore, it will be important to ensure that while the sentiments of the majority are kept in mind, there are other groups there within the state who need to also feel that they are part of the narrative which is emerging in Uttar Pradesh. Back to you.
Right. Thank you for that, Bharov. Please to continue to be with us. But the pictures that have been coming in, of course, Major General Sanjay Meston also continues to be with us. But the Nari Shakti being the theme of this year's, of course, there have been many firsts. We're looking at the percussion instruments also being played, all women bands also being there for the first time. And even when it comes to the tri-services contingent also being a part of this year's Republic Day parade. So what do you have to say to that?
You asked me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, coming on to women empowerment, I think you have already highlighted, the band and marching contingent, mixed contingents. I think it has been a very, very good step. And let me tell you, I was fortunate way back in '92, that time I was a major in Kashmir, the first batch of the women officer, and I'm an infantry officer. She was a second lieutenant, her name was Uma Thapar. And I was given this officer to be trained and taken for us counter-insurgency operations in the night. And let me tell you, there was a lot of reluctance from my Jawans, including self. You know, first time we are seeing a lady officer, and the typical attitude of most of us was Mem Sahab. But finally, being an ex-NDA officer, I said, no, she is an officer and she will do everything. And I made her carry a rocket launcher which weighs almost 16 kg. And we went for a night operation in the thick terrain of J&K, and she did exceedingly well. And I am one of those proponents, I feel, that women should now start even joining combat. It will take time in this country because, you know, the mindset has to change. But in most of the countries, including when I was in Afghanistan and also in the United Nations, I noticed most leading countries in the world have women in combat role. You look at Israel, even Ukraine. And most of the women are fighting in combat roles, and we as a nation today have to take a call. They could be prisoners of war, they could be harassed. So is that acceptable to the nation? I think in the long term, a decision may have to be taken, but right now they're not joining the combat role, but sufficient to say that artillery, of course, which is a combat supporting arm, they are joining that. We already have these lady officers in the air defense. And when I was commanding my division in Firozpur, I remember having come across some of the lady officers from air defense. They were so good and motivated that in fact I found they were better than some of the officers in physical fitness. So I think the India's future, the women empowerment is doing extremely well, and I think this is showcasing, and this kind of a parade which the entire country watches, including a lot of girls from universities and schools, they'll watch, they'll get motivated.
Sure.
So I'm quite sure that in the long run, lot of women, NCC is one of the places where I think about 37% of the NCC cadres of 17 lakhs, most of them are girls from all the states.
So we see a lot of participation from not only girls in the NCC, but the officers from the Army, Navy, Air Force, and also the Agniveers, which we've been watching since past two parades. I would like to bring in Maruf. When we talk about inclusivity and when we talk about the integration, and especially too many news we are seeing breaking barriers. We saw the first integrated contingent from the women of Army, Navy, Air Force. And when we are talking about the combat roles, how do you see when and how much time would it take for the Indian women to be in the combat roles?
You see, there are 2-3 elements to your question. One is women being integrated in combat roles. The second is what is the time frame it will be before we see them fully integrated. And the third is that where all they can bring to bear their capabilities and their strengths, which is going to make all the difference. So the first thing is integration. I think almost everybody in the services has accepted the fact that integration of women in the armed forces is a given. Many of them have done exceedingly well. From the academy onwards, women train in OTA Madras, OTA Gaya, and I think in IMA Dehradun also there are some pockets where they're allowed to participate and train. They've done well. Many of them have won awards. If I'm not wrong, a few have won the Sword of Honor also, which is very prestigious considering they're competing with men. Secondly, the role that they can play does not necessarily have to only be in non-combat roles, and neither should we hanker on just giving them combat roles. You know, even the most combat-centric officers have traits in them who would do very well in other areas like logistics and other areas which also require attention. Let us not limit our understanding of soldiering to carrying a weapon and shooting at the enemy. Soldiering has many facets, and those facets require officer and even JCOs to have the skills that are required to make sure that the logistics and the other planning
Maruf, staying with those pictures that are also coming in, of course, the brave women there on motorcycle display, that is also taking place on Kartavya Path as we speak. But the pictures of grandeur that also came in, do you believe, as far as the UP tableau and the women there, motorcycle display by brave women, this is exactly the message that is going across of what India is all about? And of course, to our guests coming in from France. Sir, if you can take that question.
Yeah, firstly, I think a lot of things are going to the guest from France, President Macron. This display, motorcycle display, totally women-dominated, itself shows the remarkable coordination and the effort which would have gone into training these women. And this again shows that women can, by and large, take on most of the roles. And again, it will take a lot of mindset of the people of this country to change over a period of time in which all roles they can be taken. And I think it has to be done with in a gradual manner. What even Maruf was highlighting, that probably, supposing they even join combat arms, let's put it. In combat arms itself, there are a lot of roles. For example, we have the quartermaster, that is logistics aspects, administration, adjutant, etc. Some of these roles can be taken on, but it will take a lot of time. Because unfortunately we happen to have such enemies, Pakistan and China, that to have women and fighting with them, or rather going into their territory, it has got a lot of ramifications, and which we have seen how some of the Israeli reservist women officers were taken prisoners, and the soldiers also, and it has a lot of ramifications on a nation, and especially on a very sensitive issue. Because women have been respected in our society, we have not been so liberal as the Western countries have been, so it will take a lot of time. The stage will come when people will start feeling, yes, now is the time they can do that. And coming on to this tableau, see again it sends a message to President Macron and to the rest of the world that India, by and large, I think we are a very religious country. We are a very spiritual country, and what Maruf had highlighted earlier, that all religions are there, and I think Indian Army is one of the best places where both of us have served, and we have people from all religious, all caste, colors, and we as officers used to go into the, I've been to a masjid, I've been to a gurdwara, been to a temple, been to a church, because that is the hallmark of the Indian armed forces, and I think that's what a good message Maruf was highlighting, that probably the nation also needs to focus on this, that all religions should be respected. Respect to each religion is exceedingly important, because that will create further bonhomie in a nation, and it will lead to national unity. So these two great messages, and the way we have shown the tableau, the culture of India, it shows again the diversity in India is a strength.
So we are actually talking about the diversity, and when we see the tableau of Ayodhya's Ram Mandir, and Maruf was also saying that we'll have to balance whatever is happening. We have another guest, Anila Singh, with us on the phone line. Anila, I would like to go across to you and ask you, when we talk of cultural nationalism, and when we talk of a Pran Pratishtha where everybody is coming from across the country, what is there that we need to work on more to bring about this unity amongst all religions that Major General has been talking about?
My Ram to all. So you want to say that if Uttar Pradesh portrays Bhagwan Shri Ram, Ram Mandir, Pran Pratishtha, so Uttar Pradesh has done something wrong? So there is no respect for 80% of people who are residing in this great nation of ours, who are Ram Bhakt, and n number of Ram Bhakts in pan world. What is wrong in that? What has happened to the people who put big question mark whenever we talk about Sanatan, wherever we talk about Hindu Devi Devtas or our Granth? This is the respect which has been shown for each and every person who believes in Bhagwan Shri Ram, who is an example of Maryada, who is an example of Daya, Karuna, Dharam. So those people who do not have any understanding or respect for all these things, they will put question mark. As a Ram Bhakt, I am very happy, and those who are unhappy about it, it is their problem, not ours.
चलिए अनिल जी, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। आईपी सिंह जी भी जुड़ गए। सर, क्या आप गर्व महसूस कर रहे हैं सर तस्वीरें देखकर? उत्तर प्रदेश की झांकी जिस तरह से सामने आती हुई नजर आ रही है, दोनों विकास की भी बात की जा रही है और रामलला की प्राण प्रतिष्ठा की भी।
विकास क्या, 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए का कर्ज मुख्यमंत्री जी ने उत्तर प्रदेश पर थोपा है और देश पर 205 लाख करोड़ का कर्ज है। हाँ, ये सच है कि मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम भगवान राम की जन्मभूमि है उत्तर प्रदेश, भगवान कृष्ण की जन्मभूमि है, भगवान बुद्ध की जन्मभूमि है। इस नाते धार्मिक आधार पर देखा जाए तो उत्तर प्रदेश का एक बड़ा महत्व है। उत्तराखंड अलग हुआ, नहीं तो देखा जाए जितने बड़े तीर्थ स्थल थे वो सब के सब उत्तर प्रदेश में थे। मैं तो यही कहूंगा कि प्रधानमंत्री जी, आप बनारस से उत्तर प्रदेश से 2 बार चुनाव जीते। इसके कारण, आपके लड़ने के कारण, एक बार 73, दूसरी बार 62 सीटें बीजेपी को मिली। प्रधानमंत्री जी, आप कम से कम NHI से एक एक्सप्रेसवे दे दिए होते। उत्तर प्रदेश में बिजली की बड़ी समस्या है, उसका कोटा बढ़ा दिए होते। कम से कम 2 बड़े बिजली के प्रोजेक्ट्स दिए होते। अलग से उत्तर प्रदेश को बजट दिया होता। जिस तरह से एक बड़ा स्टेडियम आपने गुजरात में अपने नाम पर बनवाया, काश एक स्टेडियम बनवा दिए होते। 10 वर्ष का समय।
और मेट्रो का काम आईपी सिंह जी, उसको भी दर्शाया गया इस झांकी में।
मेट्रो माननीय अखिलेश जी ने बनवाया है। जो भी विकास उत्तर प्रदेश में हुआ है, बीजेपी बता नहीं सकती कि हमने क्या विकास किया। जो किया है उसमें लूटपाट बहुत हुई है। अगर उसकी जांच निष्पक्षता से करा दी जाए तो दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी साफ हो जाएगा। तो विकास तो ठप हो गया है। माननीय अखिलेश जी के जाने के बाद गाजियाबाद से लेके गाजीपुर तक अगर देखेंगी तो जैसे मैं राजधानी लखनऊ की बात कर लूं, एक भी लैंडमार्क कोई भी बीजेपी का प्रवक्ता बता दे कि हमने राजधानी में कोई काम किया। जब राजधानी में आपने काम नहीं किया,
आईपी सिंह जी, अभी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं झांकी जो आज दिखाई जा रही है उत्तर प्रदेश की। उस झांकी में राम मंदिर भी है, रामलला भी है, ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल भी है, मेट्रो भी है। तो आप लखनऊ के लैंडमार्क पर आ गए।
अभी ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल तो छोड़ दीजिए, अभी सुतली बम भी उत्तर प्रदेश में नहीं बनना। मैं उसी के रिगार्डिंग बात कर रहा हूं। उसी पर मैंने कहा कि इसको कौन डिनाई कर सकता है कि मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम भगवान राम की जन्मभूमि उत्तर प्रदेश में नहीं है। इसको कौन डिनाई कर सकता है। हम भारतीय संस्कृति की बात करते हैं। उसमें हम समाजवादी पार्टी कहाँ अलग खड़ी है।
लेकिन समाजवादी पार्टी के, आप ही की पार्टी के नेता कई बार लगातार हमला भी करते जा रहे हैं, सवाल भी उठाते जा रहे हैं सनातन धर्म पर। आईपी सिंह जी, आपने मांग भी करी है कि उन्हें पार्टी से निष्कासित किया जाए, उस पर क्या कहेंगे आप?
सभी जात, देखिए, बस समाजवादी पार्टी सभी जात, पंथ, मजहब और भाषा का सम्मान करती है। अब जो भी विरोध करता है उसका हम विरोध करते हैं और उनके व्यक्तिगत और उनके निजी विचार हो सकते हैं। अगर स्वामी प्रसाद मौर्य जी ने कुछ कहा, क्या आपको नहीं पता है कि उनकी बेटी बदायूं से बीजेपी की सांसद है? क्या आपको नहीं पता है कि मंदिरों में वो भी
आपके नेता की तरफ से जो कहा गया था और आपकी तरफ से जो मांग रखी गई थी सर, उसी के बारे में हम अभी चर्चा कर रहे हैं। धन्यवाद आपका आईपी सिंह जी।